So now we're on day 6. We have a new challenge called Wait for It. And this is around specifically races that we want to calculate what are the different win scenarios for us. The main thing that we need to take care of is once we pass the input, so the input, how you parse it pretty much is that each race you have a time and a distance. They're on separate lines, so you have to do some stuff around this. It's not too difficult. We'll go over that in a split second. You create a list of your races, and then here you can see that there are specific things that we need to do. The main one is around how long do you keep hold of the button to see how far you travel, and you travel 1 millimeter per millisecond of holding down the button. So I think this is the main bit that we have to calculate. In our case, for example, if we don't hold anything, if we don't hold the button at all, we won't move. If we hold it down for 1 second, we'll move at a pace of 1 millimeter per second, and we'll have 6 remaining seconds out of our full 7. And this means that we have a grand total of 6 millimeters that that will travel in this specific race. And the whole goal is that this number needs to be greater than the distance that is here. So as long as it's above 9, it wins the race. So if we take a look at scenario 2, to hold it down for 2 seconds, it travels at 2 millimeters per millisecond. So hold it down for 2. This is then, it travels a grand total of for 5 milliseconds, which means that it's 5 times 2 equals 10. So 10 millimeters moved fully. So you can see all the different calculations. And the whole goal is that out of all of these times, we only win 4 times. Number 2, 3, 4, and 5. We have to then, as our kind of end scenario, we have to take these counts of different wins. So in our case, the first one, we win 4 of the games. For the second game, for the second race, we win 8. And for the third race, we win 9. You have to use this and then times it. So let's get started. I've already solved this problem. I'm going to just go over my code and it'll be fairly straightforward. So the first thing that we wanted to do is actually create a race. So this just contains a few numbers for us to do our calculations. We'll skip over this for now. We have our build. So this was a little bit more complicated than I was expecting it to be, but pretty much the important thing is that every time we parse, we're splitting the strings for each of the times and distances. We're using that previous function in yesterday's just to make it really simple. Exactly the same code. And then finally, it maps the races together with the time and the distance from fantastic easy. So you build all the races, very straightforward. And then what you do here is that we're going to iterate over each of the races and we're going to map over each of those races. And instead of just running win, or we're going to run our wins function, this will give us a vector of I32s as all of the different wins. And then, of course, we can do a length on this and produce the number that we're looking for. So in case of race 1, we actually provide it with, we return a vector of the 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. And of course, what we just do is the length is we get that 4 that we need for our output, and then use that product function that we saw a couple of days ago just to make times each other by themselves. So the important bit is this wins function. I thought this was going to be a little bit more complicated, but all we need to do is look at the time that we need to hold the button for, or all the different times. So in our case, we're starting from 1. The reason why I'm excluding 0 is because we know that's going to always lose. There's no point calculating that. And also, we don't go to the full time as well. So you can see here, we've talked about it before, where we can explicitly set it so it is from like 1 up until and including using the equals for ranges, but we're not using that today. We're actually just going up to time because if we use the full time, we won't have enough time to travel that distance. The distance is calculated by the time minus the hold. So this is the remaining seconds that we're holding for, and then we just times that with the hold distance time. This will give us pretty much these values here. Really straightforward maths here. And it will give you all these numbers pretty much, and then we just push onto our stack of wins and return the wins. Really straightforward. And what this looks like is that if you take the input, it'll go through each of our races. So I'm just printing everything out. Goes through each of our races, prints out the times and the distance, just so it's easier for me to look at. And then it turns out that we have actually all the races that we've done, we actually win 131,000 plus. So this was really straightforward. I hopefully could have done part two as well today, but I'm traveling, so I'm not able to do it. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.